Welcome to Big Creative, the podcast where we talk about work outside of work like a couple of jerks.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Big Creative for episode 6. My name is Kristen Kernatz.
I'm Andrea Marble.
And I'm Kelly Ward, and today we're talking remote work. How about it? You like it? You like it? You love it?
It's the future, baby. Bye, office space.
Man, they should have done it a lot sooner. We shouldn't have had to have a global pandemic just to get remote.
I know. I mean, do you guys think it's going back?
No. It'll never.
In our industry.
No.
I think it will.
You do.
I think if it does go back in the next year or two, that like the ultimate destination is going to be working remotely from home. People are happier. People have more time. You don't have to wake up and scrape the ice off the car. You can let your dog out really quick. I think this is just what makes sense, especially when we're all on Zoom. Like you can still see people. You can still chat. Like it's all good.
Yeah,
True.
I love it. Obviously, I've been remote for quite a while. Yeah, I've been living the quarantine life electively for a long time. This is just who I am. But how many people have you seen say something like, I miss the office? I see it all the time. I see people
I do too.
Like, I miss those chance encounters. I saw somebody wrote an article about like the unquantifiable value of like run-ins or stop-bys, or I don't know what they called it, but like about how, we in our industry, we always, quantify things, but like there's these 5-minute conversations that happen that really start a project or whatever. And like, you can't quantify that, but you also can't have it if you're not in the office. I don't know that I agree, but I'm saying people are making really strong cases for going back to the office.
I mean, I know my mom, Debbie.
Hey,
Debbie.
She hated working from home. They're back. Her company's back, but
Wow.
she hated it. I don't think they had like Skype or Teams, like where we can vid chat. Like, I don't think her company was doing that.
It makes the difference.
Yeah. I think she just felt very isolated.
Sure.
So I could see people who feel like that wanting to go back to the office. I'm fine with being a remote worker.
I think the conversation changes also if you have kids.
Absolutely. And if they're schooling from home.
Podcast listeners, none of us have kids.
Yeah.
But we do have pets.
Stay tuned. But yeah, working from home and having your kids be home, homeschooling them while like in between meetings, juggling, whatever, that would be miserable, I think. So from our perspective, working from home is great.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a general shift in the perspective of work, like what work is, how we do it. I think that the office is very supportive of an old school, a traditional work day. But the problem is, and this is why I've supported work from home or remote work for a long time, is that it actually isn't. Traditionally, we should be spending time with our families, and traditionally we should, like in the agency world, there really isn't a 9 to 5, and I guess that's traditional, but it's not traditional in an office sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's traditional in an agency sense, but normally when people talk about like I'm going to the office, they go from 9 to 5, and unfortunately, a lot of people have to do that commute. But I also, think about the people who commute on the trains and then they work when they're on the train. And I've been that person.
Yep.
And so it's just like, to a degree, I think that you have to reimagine what working is and what it means. I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn that are like, I don't care if you work from 9 to 5, I don't, and it's all this stuff. And ultimately it boils down to like, you're an adult and you know what you have to do. And I trust you to get your job done.
Yes.
And that person sounds like a wonderful manager.
Yeah.
But like, that's what needs to happen. And I think if it did, then maybe having kids at home wouldn't be a struggle, because you could probably have more control over when you're working and when you're not, and your ability to take time to, spend with your family and stuff.
Yeah, but I think I don't think that's actually realistic, where like someone can choose, let's say they want to work 10 to 6 or whatever, they adjust their day, but like there's account meetings and there's client meetings at these specific times. So like
Kelly,
in theory, I think that's great. What?
Okay, my pushback is that what you're describing is still traditional work mentality.
Well,
Instead of
I'm
9 to
just
5, I'm going to work 10 to 6. It would be completely different than that.
so you're saying work. Give me a time example. Need it.
That's my point, is that there isn't a time example. You work what you need to work to get your job done. If that means you have a meeting what about me? I have an 8 a.m. meeting every Monday morning. It sucks, but I do it because one of the people on the call is located in the Asian Pacific. So it's actually really late for her. Mm-hmm. And it's not that early for me.
Yeah.
That's like her Monday night, like late Monday night. Like it could be worse, I guess. But like, when we were working with a client, I think they were in Singapore.
Okay.
You'd have to take meetings at like 10:30 at night. Like it kind of sucks, but it really only sucks because you just worked from 9 to 5. And then you have to, if your meeting's at 10:30, then you have to like get everything ready and you have to log back in and you have to work, you have to go to that meeting and then you're up till 11:30 midnight. And so it only sucks if you keep the traditional mindset. But if you adopt a mindset of I'm an adult and I'll get my work done, then I have to be on a meeting. I'm going to be on a meeting. It doesn't really matter what time it is. I think the struggle at the beginning of COVID was that people weren't used to having all this time and they didn't know how to manage that aspect of it. They still felt like they had to work from 9 to 5, but then they also felt like they had all this extra work. And so they'd have to work all this, there was an email, I wrote an article and following that article, there was an email from somebody who put it much more nicely and professionally than I did in my article about like, take some time for yourself because you're just not used to it. And it's not how you've worked your whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. So it wouldn't be about changing from 9 to 5 to 10 to 6 or from 8 to 4. It would be about getting your work done, which is what it's always been about. Mm-hmm. We just superficially applied these 9 to 5 things.
You know what really wouldn't work with that theory you're talking about? Timesheets. Timesheets. You need the 40 hours to be able to hit submit.
Yep.
Yes.
Gotta add it up.
You're right. I love the robots. I welcome them as our overlords, but I do think that 9 to 5 or 40 hours a week is easier for the robots to understand than what I'm describing.
Yeah.
Which is a much more human-based system.
Ethical system. What if we did 40 hours in 4 days and have that 3-day weekend?
Shout out Debbie and Tom, because both of my parents do 410s. They have Fridays off.
I would do anything to have Fridays off. I would nearly sell my soul.
Hey.
I do it. Are you listening, robot overlords? You hear me?
Here's the thing. The robots are into that because it still amounts to 40 hours. So it's, again, you're still taking the traditional concept of an hour of work is what they're paying me for. I don't feel that way. I don't think they're paying me for 40 hours of work.
Oh,
because we put in more.
I think they're paying me for my work.
Right.
You know, my work product.
Uh-huh.
But yes, so both of you are still on this traditional mindset, and I think that's fine. And that's why. But this is why I think we're going to go back to the office, because I think people are so tied to the idea of traditional
Structure.
working. Yes, traditional structure of work. So I think we'll go back to the office. I think that maybe there will be more opportunities, Kristen, for a 10-hour work day. But
What
again,
we're doing anyway.
there, and that's my point, is when you think about what we do, if it takes us 10 hours to do it, then it takes us 10 hours to do it. We don't get there's nothing, we don't get time off.
No.
We don't get
to come in late.
We don't get to come in late. Like, they're already just paying you for your work product. They've just also tacked on this idea of it has to be at least 40 hours or the robots won't accept it.
Right.
So yeah, I do. I think we're going to go back to the office. I don't get it. I've been saying for years, it doesn't make sense to go to the office. It's a lot of money you're putting into real estate. I think if you want to have an office, have it be like the hoteling desks, the majority of the office should be like conference rooms.
Uh-huh.
You know, because nobody can ever get a conference room.
Yeah. I think that is the future, is remote
all this
work.
office space, no conference rooms.
It is difficult to get a conference room.
Impossible.
Difficult to even sign up.
No kidding.
I always need to ask for help. I think remote working, hoteling desks, and conference rooms are the future.
They ought to be.
That's what it will be.
And here's the thing about remote work. You can live wherever you want to live.
Yeah, I know.
And that's going to be key.
And that's the freedom that I think people really want.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, you think about like people who live where they live because it's only an hour away from their job each way. But like if you lived closer to family, like when I was a kid, you know, my mom worked. And so after school, like I'd go hang out. You know, I go stay with the neighbors. Who I call grandpa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or my grandpa would pick me up. He was like an HVAC guy, and I just sit in his van while he went and worked, you know, or whatever. But like, it's
there's more possibilities for everyone to enjoy their life outside of work.
Yes, and you'd still get things done.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
A guy we work with, he has been like traveling across the country during this time, working remotely, and that's amazing.
And who's he traveling with?
His dog.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a dream. I'm a huge fan of van life. I lived in a van in Iceland for 2 weeks, and it was like I've never felt more free in my life. Whereas, like, I didn't know where I was going to wind up that day, but it didn't matter. And if I could live in a camper van, I 1000% would. 1000% tell you from the bottom of my heart, there's no better feeling in the world than waking up and opening your van door and seeing the sunrise and cooking some eggs. If I could do that every day, I think I'd be like a different person.
Yes.
You should do it.
Well.
So yeah, like another benefit of remote work is getting to live wherever you want and however you want. But again, it requires changing that traditional mindset and of what work is and what a good employee looks like, you know?
Right. What's one thing that you would miss if offices vanished? So
I every year work on a video, and it's a second a day video, and I create a montage of every single day of the year. And I was looking through it at the beginning of the year. I really miss the people and hanging out and having fun at lunchtime and like the shenanigans there. And those would be, it's a bummer that that's not happening right now, I guess. Like video chatting and online chatting can't compare to that.
Lunchtime is the correct answer. What do you miss about going to the office? Lunch.
Well, we had a really nice office. Even when it wasn't lunchtime, we'd like make dumb videos or make swords or
I was the least productive when I was in the office, though. I loved
That's
going to
your
the office,
time to socialize. And
but yeah, you catch up.
yeah.
That has been a bummer during this global pandemic.
When you go back and you look at the memories, you're like, oh man, no, it's not the same.
Yeah.
But with that said, I feel like the socializing that we do in the office outside of lunchtime still kind of exists.
With like teams and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And video chats. I mean, that's how this started, right? This started because we would socialize every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, hey, let's make it a podcast, but give it a purpose beyond just socializing. But yeah, the correct answer, I think, is lunch. I don't think it's other people, I think, would say that it's like FaceTime with your boss, but I don't do you think that's super valuable? I don't.
No. I would not say that. I know what my fiance says is that she misses being able to, like, her workday ends at some point and being able to drive home, or like if she needs to step out with like her and her friend, they go somewhere for lunch, or like there's a break in between her atmosphere. Yeah. So she misses that part.
And that's a good point. And that goes back to my thing about traditional conceptions of work.
Yeah.
Like you should have always been able to do that, right? You should be able to do that now that you're working remotely. If you don't have a meeting on your calendar for 2 hours, but you do have work to do, but you just need a break, go take an hour break. Go take a shower if you want to go take a shower. You know what I mean?
Do like the midday shower. We stand.
We stand.
Do your laundry. You know, like whatever it is that you want to do. But yeah, if you want to go meet up front for lunch, my mom works at the schools in the town that I live in, and so my mom and I will go meet up for lunch.
Aww.
Yeah, it's convenient for both of us. But also don't like think I'm a bad employee because I didn't have a meeting for an hour, so I went to lunch with my mom.
I think there is that guilt.
Yes.
That happens with like, oh no, I'm away from my computer for too long, or you know, this walk is taking too long. Like I need to check my emails, make sure no one needs me. I don't want to be letting anyone down. Like that fear is real.
And that's the 4-hour life.
Yes.
That fear is the 4-hour life. And that's what shouldn't exist. Or it's something that we should look in the face at least.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, no, I'm going to finish my walk.
Yeah.
You're not going to fire me because I took a walk. Like, I still got my work done. I didn't miss a meeting.
Right.
It's fine. I'm an adult. We're all adults.
Just be chill.
Chill out.
Just chill, man. Deal with it.
But yes, and I appreciate that she enjoyed the commute.
I mean, we're not far. You know, it's not a 3-hour commute.
I think that's part of it. But commutes, I mean, a commute's gonna kill you if you know, like a lot of people don't live right by where they work. And of course you wouldn't, because it's probably cheaper to live farther away.
I used to drive an hour and a half to work, or sometimes 2 hours to work, and I did feel like I was dying. I felt like
your whole day is over.
That's it. Just back and forth from work. Mm-hmm. You're home and you're angry because you have no time. There's no time.
It seems like some kind of weird like movie montage of like you seeing that person like get sadder and sadder.
That Squidward montage where it's more miserable.
Yeah, no, a commute will kill you. Of course it will. It'll suck any joy you have out of everything. You know, other than getting paid, the upside of work is like feeling good about yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, because you did something you were good at.
Yeah.
For 8 hours, and you got paid for it. But man, that 2-hour drive home will make you forget everything you did today.
It's not a life. Not a vibe. Yeah.
Not a vibe. Just like.
But the thing I liked about my remote work situation was that the office was there. So if I wanted to go to it, or if I had to go to it, I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I think, yes, keep some office space, convert it so that it works better for this updated work environment.
Yeah, there's a landing pad. There's a HQ.
Yeah.
Yes, if need be. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want to have your team in once a week or something.
Oh, once a month, maybe. Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, once a week is a lot when you're driving 3 hours. Once a week is not that much if you're driving 15 minutes, Kristen.
It's more like 8 minutes.
16 total.
Round trip.
But yeah, I'm not saying, demolish all office spaces. I'm just saying reimagine what an office space is, reimagine what a work day is, reimagine what a good employee is.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they do. Because, I mean, I feel like we already reimagined some stuff during COVID. So, like, hopefully it's just like a snowball and we keep reimagining things.
Yeah, I hope that we're finding some good things in all of this. Some good, like, I like the idea that drive-in movie theaters are coming back.
Yeah, how about it?
I grew up at the drive-in movie theater, and they closed my childhood one, I think, last summer. Definitely the reemergence of drive-ins and Walmart parking lots is something I never saw coming.
Walmart parking lot?
Yeah, it's so smart.
Huge Walmart move is that in the evenings, they're just going to blast a movie on one of their big walls.
On some of them.
Think
or
how
at
much
some of them.
money they'll make if you run in to get cookies for your kids, or, oh, I want a Mountain Dew, or...
Oh, I need a lawn chair.
Bug spray. Gotta get it.
All right, so to close out this conversation about remote work, why don't we talk about the benefits to the businesses themselves? We've talked about the employee benefits, but what are some benefits that can help sell this to the people we need to make remote work a reality?
A benefit for the employer is I think people are okay with working longer.
Absolutely.
I think people are fine with putting in more hours
to stay in their pajamas.
Yeah, and just to constantly stay connected. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a plus for the employee, but I think it's a plus for
reality,
the man.
And I still argue that we need to rethink what work is and what work looks like.
Yeah.
So that could be a benefit, is that, or put differently, like, people are okay working outside of working hours because they're not. Yep. One of my fears is that employers will see a benefit in paying people less. I don't like
for
that.
More work.
Yeah, because it will amount to more work. And okay, so the most obvious financial benefit to an employer would be, I mentioned like reducing the office space. So like you're gonna lower your
monthly expenses.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like right now they're mostly not paying utilities, and they're not buying coffee, and they're not buying printer paper. I know that a lot of times if you have to get it for yourself, you can expense it, but I don't want you to pay your employees less, because now your employees are buying their own coffee, and your employees are buying their own toilet paper, and your employees are using their own internet. And when I leave the house, I unplug everything, I turn everything off and stuff. And now my electric bill is reflective of never leaving the house.
Yeah. Never leaving the house and always connected.
Yeah. So those are my fears. Like, that's what I mean. It needs to be a whole mindset change on everybody's end.
I feel like the whole work-life balance is kind of a scam, or it's like an idea that people are all about. People want people to have work-life balance, but I think it will only come like with what you're talking about, Andrea, where it's like we do this kind of shift in our structure.
Yeah, and I think that's probably always been true. Like your fiance saying that she could take a walk or meet a friend for lunch. Like that is the ideal, and it shouldn't be the exception.
Right.
But it does require a different way of thinking, the idea that some people show up, work days from 9 to 5, but some people show up at the office at 8, but they still work till 5. Well, and then there's also people who show up at 10, and there's like judgments made there. And I don't know anybody who shows up at 10. I wasn't talking about you, Kelly, but now obviously I should have.
Shade.
It was.
Wow.
You shaded yourself. I saw your face.
You shaded yourself.
Oh, watch your face spilled the tea. But yeah, there's judgments passed. But at the same time, like if you came in late, you probably worked late. Or either way, you probably still got all your stuff done. Like the problem is that you didn't get your stuff done. The problem is that you weren't here on time. Here's my number one benefit to employers. Well, two of them. I'll give you two. Number one is you get a much wider talent pool to choose from.
Yes.
So you're not just getting the best person in your area. You're getting the best person in the world.
Yeah.
Think on it.
And number two, I think you ultimately would have happier employees. I think that if an employer could embrace a new model of expectations, and if employees could do that too, it would mean getting out of that 4-hour life. And I think people would be a lot happier if they were judged on their work product. And that's why I said, I don't know that FaceTime with the boss really is all that valuable. Like it helps, but ultimately your boss should be judging your work.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So yeah, so those are the two things. Number one, you can have, you get a wider pick. And number two, the people you pick are probably going to be happier.
Kristen, do you have any thoughts on what?
My only thought is the thought I had at the beginning of all of this is that I am pro pajamas all day.
But how does that help the employer? What's the benefit for the employer?
Like if you were to sell this to your boss, how'd you sell it?
I think I would just hammer home. You're going to have happier people with more flexible hours, but with more hours, and less expense for you at the end of the day. That all adds up, I think.
I think you're right to say you're going to have access to more of their hours. I hate it. But I think you're both right. I think that's a good sell-in for
and maybe it's just that right now. Maybe once people hear this podcast and they hear that we need a work shift, maybe that's when it happens. Maybe this is the starting point.
And if we're giving you more hours, we're going to need that third weekend day.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough sell. And the thing is, when I talk about we need to think about work differently, I know that we're never going to live in the world that I want to live in.
Yeah, but maybe one day.
But I mean, I don't know. We didn't think that people were going to move to remote so much, right?
People would be
I think
around.
Maybe it's a culture shift.
Yeah, I think that as millennials take over, I think this is going to be it. I think this is the future. This is you
don't think the work week will evolve after this?
Don't you think that this was forced?
How are you wanting me to answer this question?
The pandemic?
The cultural shift was forced because of the pandemic. And I don't think anything would have changed without it.
Yes.
And
I think we would have gone remote in the future.
I think it would have taken much longer.
Yes. But
yeah, so we were forced.
I'm not convinced that it would have. Why do you think that that's true?
Because we have the capabilities. I feel like
I think always had the capabilities.
I mean, not always.
No, but we've had the capabilities for a decade.
Yes.
And nothing happened.
For you saying that nothing's changed within a decade, I think is wrong.
I didn't say nothing's changed. Wait, no, go ahead. Yes, I did.
Because where we work, before this all happened, we had 2 work from home days a week,
right?
Which isn't the norm everywhere else. But I feel like it's a perk that other companies are starting to add, or were starting to add in to be competitive with other companies.
Okay, that's fair. It is a perk and it works for competition. Yes. But it was very specifically a perk.
Yes.
I think we will go back. And I think 2020 is going to be a weird year. But I think as soon as we could go back, you guys are going to be getting your 2 days of work from home again. But hopefully there's a cultural shift.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to be pretty spot on with that. And
Yes.
I
think that you're right. But I think remote is the future.
Yes. And this is what we should have pitched to the companies. The best thing is you didn't necessarily have the infrastructure to support everybody working remotely. But then because of COVID, you had to build that infrastructure. And so now it's already there. So if you think it'll make your workforce happier, if you think it'll make some of your workforce happier, give them that choice, give them that opportunity, because you already did it. You already made it possible. So you might as well use what you got.
And you're making both or multiple employees happy.
So happy. Pajama day every day for eternity.
Oh my God, you guys, what if the cultural shift that happens is that people just start wearing pajamas to the office?
Kirsten, would you be into that? Like, is your whole thing you just need pajamas? Like, do you need company branded pajamas to get you into the office?
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this mess of a podcast. The last thing I would say then is if you have a small business or if you have a project that you would like us to think against, it's we're just having fun here. But if you want to have fun with us, let us know. bigcreativepodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and collaborating with you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And you can find us on social media somewhere.
If you got it.
Click them. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.